Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So unfortunately I have been under the weather for past week or so, which also means that I have not kept up with my Alliance War videos. And I have had some crazy fun Alliance Wars actually, which is kind of ironic considering that I was very feverish and I barely remember some of these things. But watching back, it turns out that my Alliance somehow ended up giving me more fights than normal because of the rank 5 Kingpin, probably because that is exactly what all of these wars are going to be. Kingpin is just going to shred through all three of these wars, and I'm condensing last three wars in one video here. We're going to be going up against LVT, Taters Alliance, Swedish Alliance, and XK9. And yeah, I will be fast forwarding some of the more boring bits, more boring fights, just to make sure this video does not end up being like 40-50 minutes long, because I do end up having quite a bit more fights. And just as a side note, New Nation has had completely awful season, one of the worst seasons, if not the worst season, since I have been in the New Nation. Started awful with a Kabam bag, which ended up giving us a loss when we should have won our War 1 against DSVG. We still have not gotten our points corrected for that. I hope Kabam does it by the time they send out season awards. And then other than that, we just have been struggling this season. There's no way around it. And entering the final war, we were at like Platinum 1, second spot in Platinum 1. So we're actually kind of fighting for Masters, which is very, very sad considering we finished the previous season in second place globally. So we'll see where we end up on leaderboard after the docks, whether the Kabam gives us back the points or not, and obviously the results of the final war. But all that being said, as I said, I want to kind of speed through some of these. So this is up against LBT, Taters Alliance. Shout out to Taters, an awesome guy. And in all of these wars, I'm basically going to be using Kingpin, either with a full Trinity, with Mr. Sinister to give him power lock every time opponent throws a special attack, and Hood to improve his shrug of ability accuracy, or we're going to replace Mr. Sinister with something for like an individual fight or two. So here I boost up, I activate, what was that I activate? Indestructible 3 boost there, I think. And Unsteady Ground is obviously technically the worst tactic for Kingpin completely. And if you purely look at it on paper, Kingpin is pretty much the worst champion to be used with this defensive tactic, because almost all the time, every hit I throw is going to be glanced, because for majority of the fight I will have multiples of debuffs on me, which means that, yeah, there's going to be a ton of glancing. But even with that, Kingpin's damage is just so savage, and he just works. And then obviously his shrug of ability is extremely potent and powerful, and in many cases it's exactly why Kingpin is one of the best options for those specific fights. And then on top of it, when you do happen to time your overpower buff correctly, when you consume your 8 debuffs or 8 rage stacks into overpower buff, then you can actually get a brief moment of burst where you do not glance and you do decent amount of damage. But typically in these fights that I take with hazard chips or against Terax or something like that, it's quite hard to do. So ultimately what I'm trying to say is Kingpin would be hitting way harder in virtually any other defensive tactic. This is completely incompatible defensive tactic with Kingpin, but he still absolutely destroys this entire map. So we saw Nick Fury there go down like a little sissy. Now we need to deal with this hazard shift conflictor Terax, and again, he is a global defender, so I will be glancing a lot. And the point of this fight basically is just going to be, do not try to debuff the Terax, so do not parry, and other than that, just smash. Just smash through glancing, smash through everything else. Here I am admittedly being slightly too aggressive. I should have let that rock field expire quicker there, but we're fine. I activate my level 2 and with 3 overpower buffs because of all the armor breaks and hazard shift node. As you can see, even when glancing, I'm hitting plenty hard. Now here, unfortunately, activated his unsteady, but well, it didn't really matter because he was pretty much dead. And again, that is Kingpin with majority of his attacks glancing through. It's a rank 5 Kingpin, is one hefty boy. Now we're gonna have to take on this Carl next Spider-Ham, and yet again I will heal up my Chungus, my big hefty Chungus right there. And this is again hazard shift with one eye open, so basically I can't hit this piggy whilst stun is active. Other than that, we're just gonna run through them. The point to note though is because I'm using only one champion for all of my fights, and because many of the fights that I end up taking basically kind of involve unavoidable damage or damage that would be hard to get past. This has been one of the more resource intensive seasons for me because of using Kingpin, but it's okay, I don't mind. And yeah, again, Spider-Ham here, fairly straightforward. I just want to get rid of my power as quickly as possible because I don't want him to get any spider nonsense charges. Obviously, my degen is going to get glanced off in most cases, but here we managed to get one to stick, which is awesome. That's why I waited out that unsteady debuff. And other than that, yeah, just bait out heavy attacks or land in intercepts, and do not hit the ham whilst the ham is stunned. And here again, throw your level 1 as soon as you get it in order for him not to start evading. And that's pretty much the fight there, not much else to it. Spider-Ham is very annoying with very annoying animations, but he is also very squishy because for whatever reason Kabam thinks that all spider characters need to be glass cannon type of champions who can't take a punch, and I absolutely hate that. But when you do happen to have to fight against them, that it is quite convenient that their health pools are basically all of the Spider-Man, or almost all of them, are in like bottom 20 smallest health pools in the game. And here we can see that even with glancing a ton, this Spider-Ham goes down. Now here I had a teammate of mine take care of that Toad because I did not have a counter for that fight, or not at least suitable counter. And now there's going to be a fight. I fast forward because we have Black Widow Clairvoyant with Unsteady Ground active, Rich Get Richer, Aspect of Evolution, Feats of Power, Mystic Word. And this is just an annoying fight. I do not recommend anyone take this fight with Kingpin in general, but I definitely do not recommend anyone take this fight with Kingpin and without Mr. Sinister synergy, because that Mr. Sinister synergy is going to be super clutch in this match in particular, because you guys can see it is going to be kind of like a vicious circle where every time she throws a special one or a heavy attack, I get debuffs placed on me. That means I get a ton of overpower buff very quickly. As soon as I get overpower buff and hit her, she nullifies it, which feeds her Mystic Dispersion. And it's just kind of like a vicious cycle there in between me gaining ton of debuffs, me gaining buffs, and her triggering Mystic Dispersion, and her just throwing special attacks a lot. Now, that is exactly why the Mr. Sinister synergy is helpful here, because it does give me significantly more kind of like leeway and openings. I will make a mistake or two throughout the fight, but other than that, it's just a very tedious kind of long fight with me spamming my level 1s, because I do not want to trigger any more buffs than necessary in this fight, and just slowly taking her down with me glancing at all times as well, which is, you know, part of the course there. So this was definitely a fairly rough fight, but now we are going up to the fun bit. Now I have 3 mini bosses to take care of. We're gonna start with this Penny Parker on Safeguard and Vigorous Assault. Vigorous Assault is obviously completely meaningless on this node, so is Recovery. The main point is that this is Penny Parker on Safeguard. Luckily, Kingpin can bypass Safeguard with his level 1s, and that is perfect because well, number one, we have damage over time effect. That is going to be dealing damage in the background, and it is fairly significant. And number two, it also reduces defensive ability accuracy, which lets me get through Safeguard. The plan of this match here is just get rid of her shield, and once I do, just go to town, basically. Now, the problem is that either I was not, you know, fully conscious and awake, because as I said, I was doing all of these fights whilst I was extremely ill with very high fever, and she will just refuse to hold block basically from now to end of time. I'm kidding, but I do end up in corner, so I do smack her. I think I'm gonna try and throw a heavy attack here. No, I've just tried to push her out of the corner slightly, but she's still not throwing that block for me. And now she has 13 charges. I do get auto blocked. Finally, I get rid of that shield and I can start working and I can start dealing damage. And luckily, I actually ended up auto blocked and power drained because I was over 2 bars of power and I really just wanted the level 1s, not level 2s in this fight. So that kind of actually worked out in my favor. Now she puts up, she gets her shield back. And this time around, it is going to be much smoother to take it down because Kingpin also has slightly more rage charges, which means that I can destroy that shield quicker. And as we can see now, back to it, drop my level 1. Degen's working in the background, and I can get past that damage limit, as we can see here with this level 1. Apply my second Degen, sweet. Couple more hits and the fight is over. Next up we have Wiccan, and this Wiccan is stunning reflection, polka dot power, stun vulnerability. He's not a global defender, so no glancing yet again, which is awesome. And here the main kind of thing with Kingpin is to use advanced power boost. If you do not use an advanced power boost, you basically have to do the entire fight without being able to use a single special attack. If you activate this advanced power start boost, you have the ability to spam your level 1 throughout the entire fight, because every time you inflict that degen on Wiccan, you will get back enough power to activate another level 1, and that means you're basically kind of in a cycle. It's very straightforward, very simple, and yeah, with that, this fight is again much quicker, much easier, so that level 1 power boost has tremendous amount of value in these polka dot power fights. And Wiccan is also one of the squishiest champions in the game, and we can see that definitely here, because his health ain't doing too well with less than a minute in this fight, taking all of his hits, all of the specials, and block, because Kingpin is a big chungus and he can afford it. Not much is gonna go wrong there. And at the same time, Wiccan is complete opposite to a big chungus. He's a little skinny, scrawny guy, and he is absolutely KO'd. And now the final fight for this war, it is Scorpion. It is a very good placement for Scorpion in my opinion, because on this you can't really parry with Limber and Hard Knock Life. You have the brute force that forces kind of like an urgency, and it makes you be aggressive, obviously, and find openings in order not to take that degen. But there's also that node, the best defense node, that increases the chance for Scorpion to evade when his Scorpion sense is active. But obviously Kingpin is Kingpin, and Kingpin cares very little for whatever is going to happen in this fight, because whenever Scorpion does end up evading and placing those poisons on you or whatnot, he just converts them into his rage stacks or his overpower buff and just ends up getting more damage. And that's pretty much it. And also because you have class advantage, brute force isn't that big of a deal. Plus I do have a permanent willpower healing throughout the entire fight basically. Now here I will make a silly mistake, because I will kind of not notice that I don't have an overpower buff active and I shoot my level 2 in Scorpion's block. But it's okay, because I still get my unstoppable that lets me get easy openings, and we still do ton of damage. So here I go for a level 1, not a problem, and that Scorpion is absolutely melting there. End up eating a last part of that level 1. Why not? Last fight with Kingpin, don't really care if I finish with 90 or 75% health, and that Scorpion is dead. Now, unfortunately, we did end up losing this war 7-3, so congratulations to LVT. I'm not gonna lie, this one stung a bit, because I think this was the first time when we matched LVT, And I would have loved to start this kind of like new matching series with a W, but hey, well played to them. They definitely had a very, very good war. They cleared our defense, I believe, with 3 deaths, and they deserved the win. They definitely played better than we did in this war. So next up, we're moving to the war number 11 against Swedish Alliance. And obviously they are a very, very good alliance as well. Shout out to Sweden and all of the other guys, J-Will in that alliance. Tons of amazing guys in there. And at this point, New Nation was kind of in fight or flight mode, because if we did not win this war, we have no chance of Masters basically. So we all knew what had to be done, and we had to buckle up and finally kind of like get ourselves together. So again, Kingpin team here, exactly the same team. We're starting on path 9 in section 1 this time around. And the first fight here is going to be Vision Arcus. Again, I actually barely remember some of these fights because, because reasons. But no problem. So we're going up against Vision Arcus here. We're just casually throwing our level 1s, because why not? I probably could have went for level 2s here, but the point is that all of the debuffs in the world in this fight, Kingpin is just converting into rages, and with that, obviously my damage is quite crazy, and that Vision Arcus is just dead. This fight lasted, what, like 30 seconds or so. So not bad at all. Now this Nick Fury I have done with Kingpin before, and it is quite a rough fight. So I'm going to be glancing a lot. But the biggest problem here is the power focus 1 node, which means that it is hard to push Nick Fury to level 2. So you do have to be very disciplined with this fight, and obviously keep an eye on his unblockable moments. But most importantly, you know, try and not to let him use that level 1. But other than that, we should be fine. So here I started quite awfully by eating up a level 1 monster. Unblockable. Now there I almost made a huge mistake as well, but I kind of saved myself with a special attack because I knew I will end up getting intercepted. Here I should not have activated my level 1. I do not know why I did it. But you know, what's done is done. And I realized that it was a mistake. Now there I got in a couple nice crits whilst I had no debuffs active on me. But from this point forward, we're going to play this kind of very disciplined. We do get another few crits in whilst we had no debuffs active on us. We destroy Nick Fury's life model decoy. We go in second life now. And unfortunately, when I'm throwing this special attack, I had like 6 debuffs active on me. So no damage there. But in just a moment, you guys are going to see that this fight is going to get sealed out very, very quickly. So again, just make sure that you keep an eye on the amount of tactical charges that Nick Fury has. Do not get stuck with him being unblockable, basically, when he would be able to throw his special 1. And other than that, just go to town. But yeah, so at this point, Nick Fury is dead. It does end up, you know, being one of those fights where I take quite a bit of block damage, but as long as you keep it kind of steady and controlled, it's not too bad. And now I'm going to have to deal with this Blood in the Water Sasquatch, which I think I have never done this fight in Alliance War, like in this place before. I haven't done this fight this season, but I was slightly worried in the beginning, but we are gonna see it in a second, especially because of the Mr. Sinister synergy that power locks Sasquatch every time he uses a special attack, and then me just spamming the level 1s and him not being a global defender. And I'm always just amazed by the difference of how fast these fights go when I'm going up against a global defender or not. Because Sasquatch is, you know, arguably the biggest kind of like champ in the game in terms of health pull plus additional damage mitigation and whatnot. 37 seconds and he was down. 37 seconds. Next up, another interesting fight here against Null. With Hazard Shift, Aggression Prowess, Insult Injury. So I basically have 0 ability accuracy. Also, Null is a global defender, so I will be glancing a lot, but it's Kingpin. And we're gonna be doing just fine here. Just fine, because Kingpin's awesome. And I told you guys, I have been taking more and more fights recently in Alliance War, which I actually do enjoy a lot. It's just that, yeah, it might not have been the best idea to compress 3 Lost Wars in one video, but I did want to get these out for you guys to watch, especially because this also serves as a very good Kingpin Alliance War showcase, in my opinion. So here we go. The base idea in this fight is I want to push Null to 2 bars of power pretty much at all times, and that's pretty much it. Other than that, again, dealing with hazard ship just fine, throwing my level 2s. Now here, unfortunately, he ends up activating his level 1. So what I will do is I will be patient. I'll save my special until the corruption timer would expire, and then activate it in the time to cancel that corruption, because otherwise it could potentially turn nasty very quickly. But we can see that just playing safely, holding my block at all times, trying to push him to 2 bars of power, and then just laying into him every chance I get, having a couple of overpowers on me constantly, and whenever we're not glancing, we're pushing through it quite nicely. So that was it for part 1 in this war. And now is going to be the craziest fight. Now, this fight is going to be ridiculous. Oh, this fight. You guys probably want to timestamp this, note this, and show it to your mates, because this is going to be crazy. So, again, let's just rewind a bit. This is Conflictor Mojo, right? So this is Conflictor Mojo. Luckily, he's not a global defender. And also hazard shift. And in theory, fairly straightforward. I want to activate Power Start 1 boost, because then I will not be getting as many debuffs placed on me. And if I don't have too many debuffs placed on me, I will not have too many overpower buffs that could potentially expire at wrong times, and so on and so forth. So the plan is simple: bait out Conflictor, activate level 1, and then more or less carry on trying to do the same thing, where I just want him to use his specials, and I can power lock him for a bit, hopefully. But here, he did not want to use his special 1, special 2, and then because of Mystic Dispersion and whatnot, he gets his level 3. Now this, I was not yet super worried, because I knew I'm going to survive. But I will make a massive mistake at this point. I will make a huge mistake here, where I basically panic a bit, and I activate my level 2. Activating my level 2 is the worst thing that I could have done in this situation, because I will gain Unstoppable buff, which is going to expire, and then I will also gain Overpower buffs quicker that are going to expire, and his aura is active. So you can see that I have 3 degens here. I activate my level 2, everything starts expiring, and I have 7 degens on me, and I'm like, I'm dead. I throw my level 1, which reduces any kind of like incoming damage on Mojo, and here I'm just deciding that I'm probably dead, I'm degening, I'm just going to go for it. Let's see if Kingpin can squeeze this out, and I don't. He gets to a special 3 with 4% health left. I'm at 18% health. 18% health against a rank 4 Mojo. I thought, there we go. My second death this season. I had 1 death at the first half of the season with Overseer against Ebony Maw, actually on the same node. And here I thought, I'm going to screw it up and I'm going to die. But let's see what happens. Let's see how this plays out. So here Mojo is activating his level 3. I start at 18% health, and it does exactly 5% health. Now, I still do have the degens, so I had to finish off the fight extremely quickly, but a nicely timed level 1 did just that. So again, just to kind of rewind this moment, so you can see that I activate my second level 1 and get my second degen. And to explain why I survived there, we can see that if I'm going to rewind here a second, that I am having 2 degens on Mojo, which reduce his attack by about 75%, because each of my degens reduce his attack by 50. So we cut it in half first time around and then cut it in half again, which would leave him at 75% attack reduction. Plus, I do have max inequity, which should give me another, 12% attack reduction. And I'm also charging my heavy attack, which gives me additional 3,375 physical resistance. So in between having 2 degens and Kingpin's physical resistance on that Mojo, magical stuff like this happens, and that Mojo also just melted. We can also appreciate the damage output that Kingpin has. Here we completely tank down that level 3, again, from 18% health. 18% health to 13. It does 5% damage. Sweet. Level 1 finished. And I did barely, but I did survive. And I was well impressed with that. Okay, now let's push on. And now I have to finish off this war. I do need to heal up. Again, as I said, quite costly season for me. Now we're going to have some Kingpin on Kingpin violence. I'm going to quickly go through this one. And here it's straightforward. I basically do not want to debuff this guy. Otherwise, bad things can start to happen. He can increase his combat power rate and whatnot. So basically, I don't want to activate my level 1s, as I never would against Kingpin anyways. Now, the problem here is Mr. Sinister Synergy, really, because it does inflict debuff on him every time he uses special attack, which gets purified, which gives him energized, which is what I don't want to happen. But Kingpin just has so much damage that we're going to tear through this guy in absolutely no time. So the node will not have too much of a time to kind of compound. Each of these energize like 5%, and I think it stacks up to, 20 or something like that. So a single stack of these is not too bad, but now he got 9 because he got overpower. Still fine, he only has like 9% health left. Another combo, the fight is done. Moving on to Quicksilver against J-Whale's Quicksilver. And here is not going to be too much problem. I should have reread the node because it has changed since I last remember it. And I was like, oh, which one of the ebb and flows is this, knockdown or intercept? So I guess I have to try both because I did forget to reread the node, as I said. And last time I did this lane, it was something else. So I activate my level 1, and that disables the protection. So sweet, it's ebb and flow knockdown. Throw a couple of level 1s, and so a couple of heavy attacks there, a couple of belly bumps, and we are good. Now here he does evade me, and he does smack me with a few hits, but it doesn't matter. Those debuffs do not bother me at all, because I just will end up converting them to something else, my overpowers anyways. And that Quicksilver goes down very, very quickly. And now the next fight is Herax. Again, he's a global defender, but he's on hazard shift, basically. Stun immune, hazard shift. And that Herax is just going to die super quickly here. I have done a ton of those conflictor Heraxes with Kingpin, and this one is just so much easier because I have hazard shifts here, and I don't have to worry about anything else. So I do get more damage than I would against conflictor Herax, and yeah, the fight just goes even quicker here. So I just use my Unstoppable to find some extra openings. I also do have the Mr. Sinister Synergy here, so I can be like super aggressive, and he doesn't gain his powers, and his rock field will end up expiring quicker and easier. And we can see that even through the global glancing node and whatnot, you can see that this fight's over in like a minute, or in under a minute, like 50 seconds or so. And this war we ended up winning. This war we ended up winning relatively convincingly. We had much better war, and that is super important, because going in the final war against XK9, we're in Plat 2. We're in second place in Plat 1. They are in the first place in Plat 1. So basically, whoever loses this one stays in plat 1. Whoever wins probably moves to Masters. And they did an incredible job. They died once early, and then they cleared 140 nodes without dying again. So, they did better than we had done the entire season. They had, by the time we woke up, yeah, they had died once and cleared 140 nodes. So, it was not looking good for us at all. The entire morning I thought we are kind of screwed. We had cleared about 90 and had 0 deaths, but I just looked at the score and it wasn't realistic that this season we could clear it well enough. But it's all good. Let's get to it. This time I have Warlock, Kingpin, and Havoc. Sorry, not Havoc, Hood. And we need to get to business. So the first fight here, Scorpion. Again, Kingpin just bullies Scorpion. This has like the spiked armor node plus the deja vu prowess one. So if I do want to alternate my combos, if I don't want him to gain any prowess. And spiked armor, I'm just not too bothered because it doesn't do that much damage back. And on top of it, my level 1s will reduce the build accuracy of that node anyways. So we're kind of chilling here. We can see that Scorpion is not being a big problem here for Kingpin. End up dropping another level 1, sweet, class advantage, all that other things. Obviously, Kingpin being a rank 5 monster. Just a crazy easy fight for Kingpin, really. 42 seconds, nothing special. Next up, I do need to deal with this Black Widow Clairvoyant, and I kind of had a bit of PTSD from that previous fight, but this one isn't as bad because I do have Hazard Shift here, and there is no aspect of evolution and stuff like that. I did kind of get worried because I do not have Mr. Sinister Synergy this time around, but we should be fine. We should be fine. I am just gonna play cautiously and ultimately end up pushing her to level 2s because baiting out level 1s, you know, would not seem to be working too great for me. Initially, I thought level 1s is the strategy, but we can see that when she activates level 1, she basically gets, you know, another bar of power there. So level 2 baiting it is. And there's nothing too bad with baiting out the level 2s either, because she does end up placing a debuff on me, which will Kingpin in, you know, almost all of the cases will end up nullifying. And with that, sorry, I don't mean nullifying, I mean purifying. And we're fine. So long as I do not eat a level 3, we will be fine in this fight. But here as well, I have decided to get to level 3s. And again, at a time like this, when I have no debuffs active, I have 3 bars of power. It's kind of perfect. I get my adrenaline healing as well. And obviously level 3 will deal fairly significant amount of damage, which is exactly what I'm looking for. And again, just need to be careful here not to push her too far. Bait out that level 2. And try and get to my second level 3 to finish off the fight, basically. That's kind of the strategy here. So bait out the level 2s from her, get to my level 3, and obviously just be very careful, because if she gets to level 3, I think then the fight is over, because Black Widow Clairvoyant has a very hard hitting level 3. And here I do want to make sure that I have an overpower buff active and nothing else, basically. And then I'm gonna activate my level 3, and that's it. No, wait. I actually didn't do nowhere near as much damage as I thought I would for this one. That's fine. No problem. We just need to play a bit longer. And bait out another level 2, and slowly but surely she goes down, man. Black Widow Clairvoyant is definitely one of the more tedious fights that I have to do with Kingpin this season. I hate fighting her with this global. With Kingpin anyways. Next up, we have Dr. Doom, and Dr. Doom is actually very risky here for Kingpin as well, because I do not have my Mr. Sinister synergy here, and obviously because this is a hazard shift, I will be gaining the overpower buffs, which with Mystic Dispersion can end up being very, very bad for me. And if Dr. Doom gets to level 3, then again, it's quite likely that I'm dead, because his level 3 hits quite hard, and then I get passively stunned, and he lands more combos or specials or whatnot in my face. So yeah, quite dangerous fight. Can't mess up too much, but let's see how we do. So again, I opted to start with a power special start 1 boost. Again, with the idea that my degen will reduce the amount of debuffs that I gain from hazard shift, and with that I should not be getting as many overpower buffs. Here we can see that I nearly got him to 3 bars of power again, and I did need to re-trigger the conflictor on Dr. Doom to get my degen in yet again, because if I do make a massive mistake, then having the degen up is extremely important. And now again, I'm gonna push him to 2 bars of power, bait out at level 2. And here I did not get a full evade, but it's okay. We get close enough, just the 1 debuff on us there. And now I need to basically bait out this level 2. Now it's unblockable, so it definitely needed to dex it properly. But the Dr. Doom's almost deadish too. And he's at 17%. Whoopsie. I get a bit stressed there. This war is obviously the war that just finished now a few moments ago. And then I get level 3 and finish it off. So there we go. Next up, this fight I was very worried because it's Wong and it's one-eyed open. And it's again a Mystic Champion, hazard shift. So me getting the hazard shift debuffs, getting the overpower buffs, will trigger and feed the Mystic Dispersion, which can be very worrisome. And then on top of it, obviously, one-eyed open means that I can't kind of parry to find my openings, and I can't bait out heavy attacks from this guy as well. So what I decided to do is that I will parry. It's just that I will wait out and land my hits when my stun is about to expire. So when I do take one-eyed open damage, it's only from the 1 first hit, and the rest of the combo lands just fine, and it's just superbly simplified the entire fight. And because of it, because I realized that this is the easiest way how to do this, the fight actually went super easy. Again, that one-eyed open thing, you know, I just made sure that I'm going to connect my first hit just about as the stun is about to expire. And that obviously made me take a bit of damage, but it didn't really matter because I could get my openings quickly, easy, and effectively. And that Wong absolutely melted and ended up being super simplified without me needing to try and find an intercept all the time and whatnot. Now, here we have Bishop with Warlock. There's nothing special about this fight except the fact that I kind of screw it up a bit, because the entire point of this fight is do not let Bishop use any special attacks and just get your level 2s and the job's done. But here I kind of get overly aggressive with Warlock right here, and Bishop is gonna end up not wanting to get reparried, and here at some point he's gonna end up using his level 1, which is gonna annoy me to no end, like right now. And then I need to make a decision now because the bleed phase just started, and I decided just to kind of go for it, take a bit of incinerate damage because I only needed Warlock for one of the fights. I activated the tech power boost to kind of do back-to-back special. So I ended up taking 30% damage from his incinerates, but the fight was over very, very quickly. And now my final fight of the season. And this one's quite interesting too. This one's actually very, very tricky. So it's the Immortal Abomination on Conflictor And the reason why this fight's very hard is because Immortal Abomination triggers Conflictor by himself at all times. Every time he activates level 1, he tries to gain poisons, and also when you hit him, he can gain a poison on himself, I believe. So he's going to be triggering Conflictor constantly and gaining power. And if he does get to level 3, you're basically dead. Everything dies with his level 3. But I do have a plan. Now, first thing that's quite important is I don't even really care if he activates his level 2. Yes, he's going to be permanently trying to place poisons on me, but we're going to be purifying them, converting them into overpowers, so we should be fine. So I don't have much problem pushing him to level 2. Otherwise, I'm going to definitely spend the entire fight, you know, trying to bait over to level 1 in corner. And the second thing is just get to level 3s, and I activated the skill power boost. And again, unfortunately, the glancing thing does take away from a lot of my damage throughout this fight, but line up your level 3s well enough, and we can see that I get back power bar and a half pretty much. And that eye bomb is not that scary at all here. That eye bomb is being nuked quite efficiently. I do have at this point 3 overpower buffs as well, and obviously then with that, even through glancing, we can do plenty of damage. You could see that even through block, I think we just hit 5k through block with all those overpowers. Then I had a nice 19k crit as well. And here accidentally I miscounted how many hits I threw in the block. So I do end up getting a couple hits in the face, but it's okay because I just wait till I have no debuffs on me, throw this level 3, and the fight's over. This eye bomb's apparently quite a scary placement, but Kingpin just made it very easy, very stress-free. I was slightly worried about this fight, but Kingpin just destroyed this eye bomb. No big deal. And this final war was the biggest surprise of all, because we kind of, well, I'd say surprised ourselves, or we finally woke up, because we cleared the entire map without dying. So we cleared all of XK9 defense with 0 deaths. Every single battle group got a donut. It was by far the best war of the season, one of the best wars you can, well, possibly as good of a war as you can ever have. I believe that in the end ended up dying like additional 1 time, so it was 0 to 3, and we definitely surprised ourselves. So by the looks of it, we do sneak in Masters in the end, and definitely a huge part of it is that Chubby Chung is putting in some significant work in these last wars. Man, I love my rank 5 Kingpin, and I hope this worked as a very solid showcase for him in Alliance War. That being said, I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the next